politics by host and political analyst Tim Bryce and the up-to-minute happenings of Wall Street. Beyond politics and finance, they scale the scholar's rampart by including topics on religion and nutrition with thought-provoking guests and interviews. Tune in every weekday from 8 to 10 a.m. on this TAN Talk station. Senior Voice America, serving our nation's seasoned citizens for over 4 decades.
Hi, this is Jay Leno. Hey, this is Ted Nugent.
Hi, everybody. This is David Hobbs.
Hi, this is Bob Marshall.
Hey, this is Danny the Count Coker.
Hey, this is comedian, author, and most importantly, vintage race car driver Adam Carolla.
Hi, this is Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney.
I'm John Forrest.
Hey, this is Jack Roush.
And you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
That's Nostalgic Radio and Cars with the most fascinating and legendary names in motorsports every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Listen to the latest pet trends with benefits on the Pet Buzz every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Join pet trendologist Charlotte Reed and veterinarian Dr. Michael Fleck as they talk all things pets. From animal health and wellness, money-saving tips, celebrity gossip, breaking news, and more. Their expert guests are in the know and in the now. To learn more about this unique program and its hosts, tune into the show on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
WTAN is the home of the Bitcoin Radio Show, heard each Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. Join Professor Robert Thomas and crypto coach Robert R. to learn the basics about buying, spending, and growing wealth with cryptocurrency. We all know that cryptocurrency is the future, and the future is happening now. So join Professor Robert Thomas and Michael R. this Saturday on WTAN and the rest of the Tan Talk Radio Network at 10 a.m. and make your future better than today.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi. This is Patsy with a Z. Welcome to Joy on Paper, a program for writers and those who dream of writing, and for everyone who wants to know the story behind the book. And we are just waiting to get in contact with my first guest. But meanwhile, I want to say that at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to be talking to Valerie Burns is back. And it is really exciting for me because first of all, I always love to talk to her. She is so delightful. Secondly, she started a new series. And so it's really exciting that I'm in on the ground floor. I love to be in on the ground floor when an author is starting a new series. I was right from the beginning with Carol J. Perry and her Witch City Mysteries. And then a little while back, a year or so back, she started the second series. And so that's really been exciting for me. It's called Haunted Haven, and it's set right here in Florida, so in our sort of my backyard, and I love that. So I'm really excited that Valerie's going to be joining me at the bottom of the hour. And right now I'm waiting to talk to my guest because this is somebody very special. And wow, I'm sort of a bit overwhelmed. I don't know. I hope he's going to be on in a minute because this is somebody special. Somebody I've been wanting to talk to for years. You know, I get so many books and I get so many authors, and sometimes their books come out at a time when I'm already fully booked and I can't get them on. A while back, he had a book that I had wanted to talk to him about, and now this new book has just come out, and so I'm hoping that he's going to be on in a minute. As well, we hoping. Big Ed is in the control room trying to get Jerome Charon in on the phone, and I'm really excited about that. So we'll see in a minute. I hope he's on. Okay, we're waiting. We're waiting for him. Anyway, the wonderful thing about Jerome Charon, well, first of all, is that he's a wonderful writer. But a while back, he wrote a book that I really enjoyed, and because I'm a big fan of Emily Dickinson, and he wrote a book, sort of a reimagined historical fiction that was really great. So I wanted. Okay, well, Jerome, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that we got you on because this is exciting for me to talk to you. I am so thrilled. You are such a fabulous writer, and I don't know where to even start telling people, my listeners, about you because you are so good, so amazing. I will start that. I'll tell everybody that you're a Phi Beta Kappa, and of course, I don't know. You've won so many awards. I can't even start to read them off. Maybe you'll explain some of them. But I did want to tell people that we're going to be talking today about a book called Big Red, and it is a new. It's a book starring Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles, and I love this book, Jerome.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I love the cover that they came out with. This is so good.
Yes, but it was a strange situation because we had another cover, and then Ed Sorrell, we asked him to read the book, and he liked the book so much that he decided to do the cover, and he hasn't done. In a perverse way, he did the cover of my first book, but he hasn't done covers ever since, and he just liked the book so much that he said he wanted to do, the cover of the book. So, of course, we got rid of the other cover.
Oh, yeah.
This one, it's superb. I mean, there isn't any other book that has that kind of personal touch.
It is beautiful, and you're right because I'm holding the original, and I mean it's very nice. Now I'm sure this is going to be valuable because I have the advanced reading copy with the old cover, which is okay.
Nice, which I liked a lot. I mean, I thought it was a great cover,
but the new one, oh my gosh,
this is a work of art.
Well, I hope he gave it to you as a work of art. Do you have it?
Oh, I do. I do have we had lunch with him, and he gave us the original work.
Oh,
we do have it, and we're going to frame it.
It's beautiful. It is so. I mean, you want to buy the book just for that, but the book is fabulous. I'm telling you, I needed this book so badly because, during the pandemic, I got all sorts of miserable books, to tell you the truth, a lot of depressing books, and then I in the midst I got this book and I sat down and I enjoyed it. I went back in time. You're such a terrific writer that, you take us right back into Hollywood. We're going into the 40s and meeting Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles and all of the people that we think about, and you do it so beautifully.
Well, it's not by accident because as a kid, I really grew up on the movies. That's all I had. We were poor. My parents really didn't speak English very well, so I really grew up in the movies, and so when I went out, I did a book on Hollywood, and when I went out to Hollywood and walked down Hollywood Boulevard from the Roosevelt Hotel to Hollywood and Vine, I really started to cry. It was my home. I could have been born there. I went into Musso's and I had something to eat, but that street had such a resonance for me, so that when you're writing about that landscape, and I have Rusty living at the old Hollywood Hotel, that street was really not only in my mind, but it was in my psyche, it was in my soul.
Well,
I was able to summon up a place out of the past that meant so much to me, and that's why I think it's one of the reasons why the book, might resonate with readers.
Well, definitely it does. And your main character is Rusty Redburn, a girl from Kalamazoo, and right. I'm from Michigan, so I always get a kick out of that. And having been to Kalamazoo, so I got a kick out of that too. But what was wonderful about the story is she tells the story, and she is also has this enthusiasm of somebody, you know, coming to Hollywood, and then tell us about the job that you've given her, because this really puts her in the mix.
Well, she is a sort of a low-grade publicist for Columbia Pictures. You know, in the first sentence of the book, you know, she says that she can't act, she can't sing, she can't dance, and she went right out to Hollywood. So we understand her fascination. So one day, suddenly she's called into Harry Cohn's office, and he wants her to spy on Rita Hayworth, who's now living you know, with Orson Welles, and he hates Orson Welles, and Rita is his hottest property. But on the other hand, he's also very chagrined because she wouldn't sleep with him. So she understands that she's not going to spy on Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles. She's just going to feed him whatever information she can without hurting Orson and Rita. But so that's the way the book starts. She goes to Orson's home on Woodrow Wilson Drive and meets Rita, and then Orson comes in, and they become a kind of threesome. And you know, and she loves them. She says at some point that's the only family that she had. And I should also say, one reason I put in Kalamazoo, first of all, there is that song about, you know, I've got a girl in Kalamazoo, and I visited Kalamazoo. I went to the college there, and I just love that name, you know, so I wanted to use it.
Well, it's perfect. And it also reflects the whole sort of thought process. You know, I'm a girl from Michigan. I was also, you know, enamored with Hollywood. Eventually, I did land up in Hollywood for a very short time. But, and like you, I was very poor as a child. We had, I learned to read from comic books. We had no books.
So did I. So we probably are almost twins.
Exactly. And we had no books really, other than National Geographic that came in. And then we had a dictionary that my parents won in a balloon dance.
Right.
And that was it. So
I had the first volume of an encyclopedia. So I knew everything about the word A, and that was the extent of my knowledge. So we weren't so different.
And you've come a long way, Jerome. You've come a long way.
I started out wanting to be a painter, and I went to the High School of Music and Art, and I had no talent whatsoever. When I saw the gifts that the other students had, I really became very depressed. So I said, well, okay, I can't do it this way, but I'm going to paint with words. And that's, you know, and I didn't know that much about language, but I did the best I could, and I've stuck with it. You know, it's given me as much pleasure now as it did when I first started writing. And that's very unusual, you know, to do something for so long and really feel the same excitement when, you know, you get to work on the page.
Well, you are truly an artist with words, because I know that the New York Times selected you, I think, twice for Book of the Year, right. And you had the Penn and Faulkner Award.
Faulkner Award, yeah.
So you know, I think you're an artist, Jerome.
Well, it's a difficult thing to talk about, because, you know, you're doing something that you love, and, you know, you want readers to love what you love, but, you know, it doesn't always happen that way. You know, what interests you may not interest other people. I think there's a commonality in this book, because all of us, to some extent, of a certain age, you know, have Hollywood, you know, in our bones. So I think readers looking into this, you know, can evoke that particular time. I don't know how much Rita Hayworth is remembered. I mean, Orson Welles certainly is. But the thing is, I saw these films when they were made. I saw Gilda as a child, and I fell in love with Rita, and that memory stuck. She does this striptease by taking off one glove, and that's one of the most extraordinary moments in all of cinema.
Well, of course, I grew up seeing them a little bit later, and my first view of these were all in black and white because we didn't have when I lived in northern Michigan, we didn't even have a television until long after everybody else in the country had television. But still, even in black and white, it was so vivid.
Yeah. Well, it was, of course, a black and white film, but the thing is that that film remains in the repertoire. You can.
And now, of course, thanks to TCM, we can see them all, which is a joy.
Yeah, no, it's really wonderful to have TCM to evoke, and also I taught film for a long time, and it was very, very pleasurable because all I did was, look at one film with my students, and I would say, don't tell me anything other than what you see within the frame. Don't talk about anything other than what's inside the frame. And I had a glorious time. I loved it. I loved every minute. I was doing what I loved.
And doing it so brilliantly. I want to mention to my listeners that you were the distinguished professor of film studies at the American University of Paris.
University of Paris. So and we did have French students, but we had a lot of American students, and they were sort of refugees from other colleges. So at one point, I had a magnificent, number of students, and I was the first one to ever do a seminar on Quentin Tarantino because I loved him. I loved Pulp Fiction, and so I was able to have fun. I was doing what I wanted to do and being paid for it well, and do better than that.
Well, you certainly have done it, and in this book, you make Rita Hayworth come alive. Orson Welles. I had to listen. There's one line I have to always skip over where we get to the Harry Lime and the song with the zither.
Right.
I cannot listen to that song. It drives me crazy. If I listen to it, it gets in my head and stays there for weeks.
I know. And what would happen is that every time he would go into a restaurant, they would play that song for him. So it became, Harry Lime's song, And I had Orson in my head, so I could duplicate his voice, very. No, I wasn't a ventriloquist, but I knew Orson. I taught seminars on Orson. But it was Rita who was difficult because she didn't have any language. She had language in the movements of her body. And as you can see from the book, she was violated by her father at a very early age and never recovered. So, when she had early onset Alzheimer's, it's in some sense, also psychological. She didn't have a voice other than the movements of her body. And it's tragic. It's very, very sad because, first of all, not only was she so beautiful, she was very kind and very gentle.
Oh, she was gorgeous. As I said, I was in Hollywood a little while. I did some script writing, and three of my films were optioned, but they went into turnaround, and eventually I turned around and came to Florida. But I never really had the opportunity. I mean, I did manage to see or, be at events where I would get sort of close to some of the really big stars like that. But I never really got to talk to any, except for one gentleman who actually lives in my condo development, and he was in old Hollywood. He was in Hollywood in the 30s and 40s, and he would talk about how unbelievably talented the dancers were.
Oh my God, it was incredible. I mean, what Hollywood had. I mean, aside from its terrible, system of keeping, actors under contract and not allowing them to choose their own films. They had a technical magic that no other, movie studio anywhere else in the world had. I mean, this was the tremendous advantage. And of course, I became part of the actors studio, so I was around many of these actors. I was around Al Pacino and Paul Newman, and I worked with Elia Kazan on plays. So, I mean, I got to see some of these people, and I really, for me, it was a wonder. I loved it.
Well, I love the opening scene where you're talking about when she's called to Harry Cohn's office. Did it really look like that?
Yes, no, I got, remember, I always do very, very specific research, and I look for very specific details. And sometimes you have to read a whole book to get one detail. So what I wrote about was an exact replica, not only of Cohn's office, but of the studio itself. And it is true that he would leave at midnight and turn off all the lights, and that's why he was called the janitor. So I'm always careful, even though I can make things up. If I choose to.
Oh, that's why this, everybody, you have to get this book, and once you read this, you start reading it, and I tell you, as the narrator, Rusty Redburn is just fun. She's a great character.
I love her. I didn't. I was originally going to write a novel in Orson Welles' voice. But then I began reading all these biographies, and he was so full of himself, and everything he said was a lie. So, I would have had a very, very peculiar narrator, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between what happened and what he said it happened. And also, he said something very, very cruel about Rita. I mean, she loved him her entire life, and then when he was interviewed once, he said, if she called this happiness, what could the rest of her life been like? He never should have said that. That's one of the cruelest things that I've ever heard. Somebody loves you, and you slap them in the face in that way. And I was very upset about it, even though I think that was the genius.
Well, that's why I think that the choice of using Rusty Redburn as your narrator, as the person all of us, those who have always dreamed about going to Hollywood, or outside of Hollywood, she takes us right in there. This gal from Kalamazoo, and we feel it, and we have that same, partly the cynicism when we see that the stars aren't who we thought they were always, but also the pure love of the cinema, of what's happening in film.
Oh yeah, no, I you could call it luck, but I needed a narrator, and I thought about it, and I found a voice for her. The first sentence, came very, very early, and once you have, writing a book is, as you know, is not an easy thing to do. But once you find the first sentence, you sort of have the narrative voice, and then you just continue. So, beginning a book is impossible, and ending a book is also impossible.
Well, you've done a.
You can fill in the space.
It is one of the things that I love about it is that, for people all over the world, really, they have this idea of Hollywood. And when you're writing this story, there is so much in it. Just every character that you write about, every every person that you mention, the ones that we recognize their names. It's just so much fun to hear about it from somebody who knows Hollywood so well, like you do.
Oh yeah, well, you when you're doing a novel, you really have to define each character. You have to have the audience sort of visualize them, and that's where the growing up as a painter, you're painting on the page, and you also have to find the voice. You have to find the music of their voice, and you have to find, and it's the music, it's the thrust of Rusty's voice that sort of carries us through the novel. And I discovered, the film editor, Viola Lawrence. I didn't know anything about her, and she becomes a very significant character in the book, as a film editor who edited, Orson, the lady from Shanghai. So, you discover in research, that's one of the great joys of doing research. You discover things that then, give you a certain power when you're writing a book, because she was very important to the tale. She was the first female film editor in Hollywood.
Definitely. This added such depth to the story. I didn't know, I knew about her, but I didn't know all these details. And this is what happens with great research. As you said, you could read a book, an entire book to get one little gem. But then when you put that in your book and you add it up with a bunch of gems that you've put together here, it is a really wonderful, wonderful book.
Oh, thank you so much. I discovered things, and I want to discover them for the reader. But I didn't know anything about Viola Lawrence. So to me, she was a revelation. And then to describe her as a character, wearing these dark glasses, and her whole relationship with Harry Cohn and with Eric von Stroheim. It's a learning process. You have all this information, and you have to sort of compact it into a book. And what is a book about is that you're trying to get a kind of emotion in the least number of words. You're packing the book with a kind of feeling. You want the reader to be moved to tears, when you see reader at the end. I know I was moved, so I hope the reader is.
Oh, I think they will be. Your writing about Rita is so touching. As you said, her life was so tragic in so many ways, but when she's on screen, when she gives us this, it's like she is really like a breath of fresh air. She takes your breath away. You look at these films, and now, of course, we see them. I love that we have big flat screen TVs, so we can see them. And she comes on, and nobody looks like her. And nowadays, I'm telling you, the cameraman just had to love her, just because.
Yeah. And also, the camera itself loved her, and the thing is, she really came alive sexually, on the screen. She sort of abandoned herself when she was on the screen. She felt liberated. She felt free, and we see this specifically in Gilda. That was a role that I don't think anyone else could have played but Rita, and she's also so, I don't know if you're allowed to say it anymore, but she was so beautiful. She did take your breath away. There wasn't that kind of, I don't know, carnality, sensuality on the screen that I don't think any other actress ever had. It's like a panther, a beautiful panther, coming in front of your eyes, and when it moves the author, there's always a chance that it's going to move the reader, though you can't be certain.
Well, I think it will, and because you have celebrated her life, and I think that's important. I came away just sad about knowing some of the things about it, but also knowing that she did leave behind this joy that when you look at her, you believe. I don't know, somehow there's something about the way she looks, and it must have been the hope in her eyes that there was something wonderful ahead. I always felt that when I look at her nowadays, on the big screen, my big flat screen, how absolutely fantastic she was as a person.
And also, with TCM and, going back to old Hollywood, I mean, these films are resurrected. They come back to us, and the films Gilder as modern today as when it was made. So, and her performance is extraordinary. So that's the power that the author has, is to resurrect. You're sort of an anthropologist, sort of digging up the past, making into the present. So what I want to do is the reader back into that world and to make it come alive. That's what you want to do, is that you're digging into the past, but you want to bring it right into the present. You as the reader are right there. I mean, that's what I want to do. It doesn't mean that I see, but that's what we try to do.
Well, you did succeed. And I want to tell you that I'm just so thrilled that you were able to join me today on Joy on Paper. Right. And I want to tell my listeners that they have to get this book. It's really great. It's called Big Red by Jerome Charon. It's a novel starring Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles. Wow. And of course, I'm on the Rita side. I've always loved Rita Hayworth. This one part where near the end, where you write, call her Margarita. She didn't want to be a princess, but she was a princess nevertheless.
Right.
And that sums up this wonderful, wonderful book. And Jerome, I want to thank you so much for being on Joy on Paper today. And if you're available, would you like to come back and talk to me about your two other books that I love, both historical fiction, the one about Emily Dixon and the one about Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to.
Okay, I'm going to get back to you, and we're going to have you back on so we can talk about those two books, because I think they're fantastic, and I want to make my listeners aware of them, okay?
Yes, okay.
But right now, this is the release of Big Red by Jerome Charon. It's wonderful. It's available wherever books are sold. And Jerome has a website, right, Jerome?
Right.
And
I do have a website and a Wikipedia page, and I'm on Twitter. And
you can find him everywhere. And I'm going to play a song on the way out, Jerome, but I'm going to have you back soon, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Hi there, Tex. How's your new romance? The one you met at the campus dance.
Wait until you see her, you'll agree. My hometown gal's the only one for me. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I got a gal
In Kalamazoo.
Don't wanna boast, but I know she's the toast
of Kalamazoo. Zoo, 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 zoo.
Years have gone by.
My, how she grew.
I liked her looks when I
Okay. Well, I wanted to play that song for Jerome Charon, but it's also a good song to introduce Valerie Byrne because her new book is set in Michigan. And I am so happy to welcome you back to the program, Valerie. Are you on? Okay. I lost Valerie. There I was. I don't know. We'll try. Okay. Valerie, hi. Are you there?
I am. I don't know what was going on with my headset, but I'm here.
Okay. Did you manage to hear that song I played, Kalamazoo?
I did. I love that.
Don't you love it?
Not very far from New Bison / New Buffalo.
Wow, which is fantastic because, well, of course, being a girl from Michigan myself, I love anything to do with Michigan. And so I was thrilled that Jerome Charon wrote this fantastic new book about Rita Hayworth, and it's called Big Red, and it's the narrators from Kalamazoo. And so I was sort of a very special Michigan kind of day. How are you? It's so nice to have you back. You are always busy.
I am busy, and it is great to be back. Thank you for having me. I love talking to you and talking about books.
Well, and of course, the new book. Oh my gosh, you must be so excited.
I am excited, terrified. I don't know. Every time a book comes out, I'm like, will they like it? Will they not like it?
Oh, they're going to love it. They're going to love it. Oh, the new book is called 2 Parts Sugar, 1 Part Murder, a delicious and charming cozy mystery. And it's book number 1 in the Baker Street Mystery Series.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
The culinary cozy. And so there's recipes and of course the dog.
And of course the dog. And the beautiful cover by Kensington.
I love the cover. It's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, it is. It is just perfect. I love the way they did it exactly right because it's called 2 parts. And so they put the cover in 2 parts. I thought, how clever. They have illustrators who really are smart.
They are. And, I'm just really, really thrilled. Usually before a book comes out, my editor will ask, do I have any cover ideas? I'm like, no, I'm not good at that. So I'm glad they are.
Oh, they are. And it does tell the beginning of a story. I love it. I love the concept. Now, this is the exciting thing about being a writer is when you come out with an idea, it's yours. I mean, you can create, you can do whatever you want with it. So this must have been so exciting.
It was a lot of fun. I got an opportunity while I'm writing to kind of live vicariously through my characters. So it's always really fun to try different things. And, there's a English Mastiff. I love dogs, but I don't own an English Mastiff.
They're big.
They are big dogs. I have 2 coworkers that had English Mastiffs, and they were telling me stories about their Mastiffs, and I thought, oh, how cool is that? So I get to live vicariously through my character and have access to an English Mastiff without actually dealing with all of the issues of having a 200-pound dog.
Like feeding it
and cleaning up after it and just all of the things related to dog care.
So you got the joy of a Mastiff without having. Okay, that's a good idea. I think that's a clever idea. And then you came out with a great character and set her down in Michigan.
I did. I spent a lot of time in Michigan. I am born in Indiana, in that northwest corner, right at the line where people from that area, we hear the term Michiana. Because Michigan and Indiana are so close together. And I also lived in Michigan for many years and got familiar with this area. So I named the town New Bison.
I like that.
Which is basically New Buffalo, Michigan.
And your character, how does she land up there? I don't think that's her natural habitat.
So Maddie Montgomery is a social media influencer and fashionista, and she's been living in Los Angeles, and she's planning her live stream wedding, and she gets dumped in the middle of her live stream wedding. So
I'm sorry, that's not funny. It's not funny.
No. She's looking for a place to hide. And so she finds out that she's inherited a bakery and a house and a 200+ pound dog from a great aunt that she didn't really know. And there's one stipulation. She has to live in the house, keep the dog, and run the bakery for a year. So she can't cook. And she decides, but she wants to get away. She wants to hide. She's never heard of New Bison. So what a great place to go hide out in. So she moves and takes the challenge to go to New Bison and try her life as a business owner running her bakery.
Oh, it's cool. It's a cool idea. I love it.
And another opportunity. I mean, I'm not great at social media, but, I can live vicariously through Maddie, and she is good at social media.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I think I always love the storyline where somebody gets picked up and dropped into a whole different environment and has to make their way through it. As a matter of fact, after I read this book, I thought, if I win like that big lotto where you win so many millions that you don't know what to do with it, I would like to do that to people. I'd like to just send a lawyer out to somebody and say, oh, well, you've been given this like a bakery, and you have to go there for a year and put them in the middle of some place and see how they survive.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun to be able to do that, and just, especially I think when there's the end is in sight, right? You can do just about anything for a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so, like Maddie, you might be willing to run a bakery, and I think you discover talents you didn't know you had.
Oh, you better. And what about you? Is baking come natural to you?
So I do enjoy baking. I don't enjoy cooking, but baking is different. So cakes and cookies and all the sweet stuff, I love baking.
But she finds herself in New Bison, and she has to not only live up to the reputation of the bakery for making really great cakes, but also she discovers some things going on there.
There are some intriguing things going on in New Bison. So that area, being close to Lake Michigan, being close to Chicago, it is very popular with people from Chicago who are looking for vacation homes and for summer. So the property has been increasing in value, and developers are wanting to move into that area and turn it into a resort area and kind of maybe lose some of the charm of the quaint small town. So that's one reason why her great aunt Octavia stipulated that she had to live there for 1 year. So she can't just inherit and sell it off to some big developers who want to change it. So I think Great Aunt Octavia wants her to fall in love with the area and then to maintain its charm.
Well, Maddie has a lot cut out for her here.
She does. She does. She is very insecure when she first arrives in New Bison, and she says she has trouble making decisions. And so over the course of the book, she becomes better, and she learns that these skills that she has with social media can be used to help promote her friend's business and her own business. And so all of these ideas and things that she's been doing, she can actually apply those to help elevate the bakery and turn it into something more. And she's got all these ideas of things that she would be able to do to help the bakery to be even more successful. And some of it might involve learning to cook.
And of course, tell us about this dog, because a Mastiff is can be a bit shocking if you're not used.
Mastiffs are big dogs, and they are actually a little intimidating when you see them because of their size. But they are, everyone that I know that had a Mastiff talked about it being such a gentle, sweet dog. And the one negative I would say is that they also all talk about the drool factor. So it's a big dog with jowls, and it does tend to drool.
But it's a big baby. So
it is a big baby. And Great Aunt Octavia was also a fan of Frank Sinatra. So she named him after her favorite singer. And so he's got a long registered name, you know, something like Old Blue Eyes, you know, the crooner. And his nickname, or in dog show world, what they call a call name, is Baby.
Yeah.
So play one from my baby. Then that's where you get Baby, the English Mastiff. I just sort of love the 250-pound dog called Baby.
Yeah, I love it too. It's great. You know, so when you got the idea for the basic idea, this is, I think, a lot of my listeners are interested in. You know, they get ideas for books, and they get ideas for series. But I mean, obviously, you knew, because how many successful series do you have?
This is number 4.
This is number 4. So we knew that this was going to be a series, but still, how did you go about it? Did you lay it out? What do you do to really get it all set out in your mind?
So usually I get an idea of, oh, what if, or wouldn't it be interesting if, and I just sort of explore that and see where it can go. So I remember talking to one of my friends about wanting to have a culinary cozy, so something with recipes and baking. And as we were talking, my friend mentioned these outtakes, you know, baking outtakes. So, you know, you have these, especially during the pandemic, there were a lot of baking shows. And I remember specifically like the Pioneer Woman and a lot of these baking shows, you know, during COVID, they couldn't have the big studios or whatever coming to film. So they had to film a lot of things themselves. And we just started watching these outtakes. And so some of them are rather amusing. And then I just sort of got the idea, wouldn't it be interesting to have something related to bakeries and these video outtakes? And so I decided, okay, well, I'm going to make her a social media influencer and then put her in this setting with a bakery. And the outtakes are going to be her making a mess in the kitchen and, having flour everywhere.
Well, I think
some of these things are not as bizarre as you might think. I actually saw another writer friend who had posted on Facebook. She forgot to lock the head of her stand mixer, and she took a picture of herself covered in flour. And so it can happen to even experienced bakers.
Oh, it's happened to me. Believe me, it is. I can tell you some of the things. I don't know. I even had one day where I needed to separate the eggs, and every egg I separated every time. I mean, now I think I went through 7 eggs before I finally got it right. And I've been separating eggs all of my life since I was, babies practically. So yeah, it happens. Well, I think it's a great
happen.
It does. And I think you have a lot of things to work with in this wonderful new series, Baker Street Mystery Series. And this is book number 1. And I'm sure you've already, have you finished book number 2 yet? Or you're just working on it?
Yes, I have, and turned it in, and we've got a cover, which I think is even cuter.
Wow.
If at all possible, than the first cover.
Well, I'm so thrilled for you, Valerie, because I think you're a terrific writer. I love your work. You write so beautifully. And Valerie Burns, I just love just love the way that you write. So I'm happy that you got this new idea and this new series. You have a website you want people to go to? Is it VM Burns?
Yes. And thank you so much for the kind words. Yes, vmburns.com.
Okay, vmburns.com. And everybody go there. You can find out more about Valerie and her other series. My goodness, she is a prolific person. And she is I think you are absolutely delightful. And it's always a joy to have you on. And I started with Carol J. Perry a year ago when she started her second series, Haunted Haven, which is set right here in my backyard. So I love always to be in on the ground floor of a new series. And it's been a thrill to talk to you today, Valerie. Everybody, the book is available wherever books are sold. It's it's by Kensington, and I'm sure at Barnes and Noble, it'll be available there because Kensington always has a big display in Barnes and Noble because they make such beautiful covers, right?
They do. The covers are amazing.
They are. And so again, Valerie Burns, I think you're terrific. 2 parts sugar. Well, you are 2 part sugar, 1 part murder. I hope you're not murdering anyone, but you are, my goodness, you write and write and write. You are fantastic. 2 parts sugar, 1 part murder. Get it right now because you will have a good laugh or 2 or 3. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I heard somebody. Bye-bye. All right. Okay. Valerie's so cute and she's so sweet. I really, I get these writers, sometimes after, can you believe it? 7 years. And it's just so much fun to see how the writers develop, how they work to come out with a new series, and then they just move ahead. And as soon as they finish the first book, they're already on the second book, and then the third book, and they're running with it and having fun. And that's what I'm always telling you, that one of the joys of life is to see your words on paper or to hear them spoken in an audible book. Or if you're very, very lucky to hear those magic words, lights, camera, action, and your book will be turned into a major motion picture, streaming video, or perhaps a series on the Hallmark Channel. You never know. And you won't unless you start writing. And so I want, of course, for Carol J. Perry, but I also want to mention that Jerome Charon's book, Big Red, that would make a wonderful streaming video. I hope that Hollywood picks it up because I really, really, well, of course, who's going to play Rita Hayworth? They're going to have to show the clips because nobody can play Rita Hayworth. Anyway, Everybody, say something nice to somebody today because it's a wonderful day in this neighborhood. That's for sure. And I will say something nice to Big Ed in the control room. Thank you, Ed, for getting Jerome on. He's a fantastic guy. Everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye now.